Uh, all right. Abani Guy, everyone. This is Professor Rahh. Hopefully, we'll be joined by historian Joe Hembrick in the Conscious Corner. Tonight, we're going to open up the forum for a free flow roundtable to discuss issues that's on the minds of the viewers and the participants. As we grow this program, hopefully we will have call-ins eventually and also be on Facebook, as well as we grow, as we get the support, the financial support, and the viewer support. This is one of the most meaningful forums that has been put together, and we say asante to Brother Rashaki Maskani for his genius, being a genius, being smart to create this forum for us to have a lively discussion, righteous discussions about what Black people are going through and what they've been through, what they're going through, and what is projected that we are going to be dealing with as a community and as a brotherhood. It's an expression of love of our people that we have these discussions and that we grow and share what we learn with others. And then at the same time, participate in a dialogue among Black people, about Black people, for Black people. We are our own liberators, mentally, spiritually, and physically. We must always hit the first and most decisive blow for our liberation from the standpoint of a checkup from the neck up. In education is the tool and the weapon that we can, that we must use to mobilize, organize our community and educate. Well, education first, mobilization, organization, and then confrontation in a righteous way of issues that we are affected by. This Dave Chappelle Netflix video, I don't know how many people seen it, but he said some profound things. And a lot of the LGBTQ community is trying to get his Netflix comical presentation off air. But if you listen to it, he says he has no problem with the LGBTQ community. He has a problem with racism. And he admires them for how they were able to get so much power in such a short time, and we still fighting. He also criticized them for their lack of consciousness toward the Palestinians and white Israel. And I mean, he says a lot of things in that video. If you haven't watched it on Netflix, I urge people to do it. But if you have any conversation for tonight, we look at it. So, again, we welcome everyone. This is a forum where you can disagree, but just don't be disagreeable. That we do not denigrate or say deprivational things about Black people. We look for the positive attributes of their achievements in every institution that they participate in this country. To uplift ourselves. You can depress yourself to the point that you become a contributor to the discouragement of unity and love and appreciation of our community. We have a diverse community. Some of us are very religious in Christianity. We got a various Muslim community. We have Black Jewish community in the major Western religions, as well as some that's practicing Santa Maria and other small pockets of different religious practices and philosophical practices. So, and then we have different Black people with different views of politics, different views of economics. Part of this month, one of my sons is going to come on and talk about crypto money, the Bitcoin, and the need for young Black kids and other Black people with resources to get involved in the stock market, get involved in cryptocurrency and know what it is and know what it's about. And he's deep into it. And we're going to have a brother named Jeffrey Lakes Jr. He's going to be on with my son. And my other son, Omar Kumba Rahh, who's in Denver, and he's the director of diversity in Cherry Creek Unified School District, one of the biggest school districts and wealthiest school districts in Denver. And he's president of the NAACP to talk about the Elijah McClain case and also the trial of the young man that shot up the people in the Aurora Theater. I forget his name, but anyway. So those are the things that we look forward to. So at the end of every month, whatever went on that month, you know, if you just jot it down and use this form, because it's not just us talking. Rashaki had the foresight to put this on YouTube for us. So I will just start with Mashinda. Mashinda, is there any issues you'd like to discuss? This is a round table night.
Good evening.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, let me take a pass right now, Dr. Rahh. And what I'll do is I'll come back. You just hit the table, and then I'll come back with something. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. What about you, good doctor?
Yeah, I'm open to discussing anything, but you mentioned something earlier. You said the David Chappelle show on Netflix.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I saw that, and someone pointed out to me the Colin Kaepernick special they got on Netflix, and I just finished that. I'm on the last episode.
Mm-hmm.
That kind of touched me more than the David Chappelle one. And you know, I'm watching this Colin Kaepernick one, man. If I wasn't Black, I wouldn't believe the stuff he put in that show he talked about. Because the stuff he went through, you know, we all been through it. And man, like you said, if I wasn't Black, I would think he was making that stuff up.
Who's
Colin Kaepernick? Yeah, Colin Kaepernick has one on Netflix that just came out.
Yeah. Okay.
And I think that touched the core kind of more than David Chappelle's. David Chappelle is more political. This man, he kind of goes over his life growing up with the white parents and the little subdued racism, man. And you're looking at it, you're like, nah, you see the white people, nah, that never happened. That doesn't happen. And like I said, if I wasn't Black, man, I wouldn't believe none of that he put in that show. It's very, I recommend everybody watch that. I didn't know it was even on there. Someone texted me and told me, hey, you really need to check out this Colin Kaepernick show. And I'm thinking, okay, you know, this is another little thing he's doing, but it's very interesting, man. Everybody needs to look at that.
What are some of the highlights of it, Don?
I was growing up, you know, the white step parents, adopted parents, you know, from him, he talks about the NFL, baseball. You know, he got incidents where, you know, his parents are taking him to games. They keep passing up this white cop, and then the parents are waving at the white cop. And every week, then 1 week they let him drive, and the cop pulls him over. You know, talks about you know, he has he wanted to date. He dated a black girl at high school. Parents wanted to date a white girl. He went to the prom with the black girl, got a picture taken. Mom wouldn't put it on the mantle, with the other kids who, white, all white. So she threw in the drawer, but as soon as he took a picture went to another dance with a white girl and took a picture, she put that on the mantle. And they couldn't, and you can see the parents kind of didn't, they just wasn't into it, man. There's a lot of racial stuff it was going over their heads. He was feeling all the pressure, being in a white household, growing up in Turlock, California, where I think he was only one of a couple of blacks at the school up there. It was very interesting. He just does his perspective from growing up. And like I said, I think it's 6 episodes. They're only like 30, 40 minutes long. I'm on the last episode. Very interesting show, man. I really like it. I mean, it's one of the first shows, man, I really like, man.
All right.
Yeah.
And you strongly recommend?
I would strongly recommend everybody get their opinion on that. I think little things that was going on, like
So, he referred to the adoptive parents as his parents.
Correct. Correct.
Right. So it's sort of like a mixed family. Was he the only kid of racial background different from the parents, or were there other kids in the household?
At the time, he was the only one in the household. I think the other kids were growing up and went to college and moved out, because I know she mentioned she had 2 other sons or something, or a few other kids, but they wasn't living in the house. He just showed him living with them.
Was this a foster home, or was this adopted? Or
adopted
okay.
home, yeah.
So they were adopting kids.
Right. You know what? No, I think they just adopted him. They had 2 naturally kids, I believe. That's as far as I got from right now.
Did he say why he thought they adopted him?
No. Like I said, I'm like, 1 more episode to go. He didn't mention anything of that. Just starts off with him with the white parents, and the football, playing football and baseball, in high school, the varsity coach or JV coach basically wouldn't let him start as quarterback, even though he was better than a white kid. He kind of knew something was going on. Every time they went to a event at a hotel, he was always getting picked out of the crowd. When everybody else was making noise, he's sitting there quiet and blaming everything on him. He was always picked out for being black. It was very interesting show. Even when he, idolized Allen Iverson with the braids. He got the braids, and the mom called him a thug. The white mom called him a thug, and it was a very interesting show. Man. He comes in and narrates it, tells his little point of view from growing up, dealing with racism, football, baseball, and just growing up in that area. It's a very interesting show, man. Very interesting show.
Okay, and appreciate what you said, if I understand correctly. I don't see if anybody else have any questions about the show that you watched, but I just wanted to ask you, was there any message that you think could benefit young kids or even adults, get them a better understanding of him, or either the challenges? Because Obama came from a mixed family,
right?
And there's been a lot of whites that adopted black children, and especially actresses and actors. They go over there to Africa and adopt some African kids and things of this nature. And then there's a challenge between a foster home and being adopted, which adoption means a lot more because you take their name and you're their child. And that from a jurisprudence standpoint. But is there any message you think that really some people could get from how much you watched already that you think he represented? Like, for instance, his determination, where did that come from? If they talked about it, going through what he was going through, why he didn't just get depressed?
You know what? He did get depressed. One thing that stood out everybody wanted him to play baseball. I guess he was a better baseball player than football. He wasn't getting any kind of scholarships. Major teams wanted to draft him right out of high school. And his passion was football. And he decided to stick with football, and everybody else was upset. But, I just recommend, if a few people watch the show, and like you said, once everybody watched it, bring that up to a discussion in the future.
Okay.
Like I said, very, very interesting. And like I said, the part of the show is kind of based on, what the concept of this show is about. Issues we brought up in the past, we brought up on the show. So very interesting. And like I said, once everybody gets a chance to watch it, I think we should discuss that.
Did he discuss why he took the knee in the beginning?
You know
Have
what?
you got to that point yet?
You know what? They started off with that, him taking the knee. He did discuss it. Then it kind of started, he started showing Trump calling him, fire him, and everybody burning his jerseys, talking mess to him. He kind of discussed the why a little bit, why he did it. And but then it just jumped to when he was in, I believe it was junior high school, with the sports. And
I'm gonna make sure I watch it. I'm gonna make sure I watch it and raise this issue the next time we have a forum.
And like I said, David Chappelle seen that again, man. Everybody missed the point. Just like he said, it wasn't nothing about transgender. Basically he talked about, man, how everybody else is, getting benefits and we're not.
He talked about how he started a foundation for a white transgender person that studied him, and he gave her a gig to open up his show.
Right.
And then she committed suicide, and he started a foundation for her daughter to raise money. And he said he's going to go over there and give it himself. And he talked about a lot of positive things about racism, and how he asked this fundamental question: can a transgender or gay person be racist? That's speaking to the whites from that standpoint. And he's talking about how they were able to get their movement going so fast that they're so powerful, they can penalize people who they think is insulting them, like Kevin Hart. And he talked about somebody else, how Kevin Hart wanted to narrate or be the host of the Academy Awards, and then they attacked him for his views, and because and he felt that was an example of their power in Hollywood, and so that's an issue, and some other thing. Well, Joe, you have any comments on that? You there, Joe? Yes, okay. What about you, Michelle? Do you have any follow up for the doc on that?
Well, I did see the Dave Chappelle, closure, and the closer, and my take on it was very intentional on his part. He knew he was gonna, raise a few eyebrows and piss off a few people, but that's why I respect him. He's a man. He speaks his mind, and that's what we all should do. That's what we all are doing, speaking our minds. What has been revealed as truth to us, and with the help of the elders and everybody else, and this exchange, we can kind of bounce it off each other, triangulate and understand each other, and learn even more. But yeah, I found it, of course I find Dave Chappelle, he's always comical. When he mentioned the space Jews, they pick on them Jews, man, because them Jews, well, anyway, it's the history, the historical, and between you and Brother Hembrick, I'm sure y'all can break down the Jewish involvement in the slave trade and different things like that. And but Dave Chappelle, he didn't go light. He actually knew. He told him in the thing. He said, "Hey, this is going to be my last show for a while." Well, he was saying his contract was up, but really, it's more than his contract's up. It's like, it's going to be some issues probably, well, it's never going to be a problem with booking Dave Chappelle, but in terms of, the I guess the Jews and the Hollywood and the people behind the scenes, he burned a few bridges by, just intentionally setting some fires, but and that's what's needed, Now, how do I relate that to my life? Where I work at, there's a lot going on. You mentioned institutional racism and things like that, where they use the laws, the rules, the regulations, the policies, that are in place to interpret them against you. And, that's, it's prevalent, I'm down here in the South, and I'm in working I guess it's the town to give you an idea, what's going on in the city here. It's about 12,000 people in this little city. And it's probably about, I would say 55%, but maybe 55% Black and the rest, white and whatever. And so Blacks have actually moved up in population. And what's happening is, as Brother Hembrick puts it, the European, he's been running and he's been trying to, keep his position. And so what's happening is we're gaining on him down here. And but it's not happening without a fight, And what happens is it reminds me of growing up in Compton, when you had the white flight, when you had, Black flight, white flight, I know in the early 60s, the brothers I know our neighbors, we had all kind of doctors and real estate brokers in the 60s. Well, anyway, they took off and then, but before that, the whites took off. So anyway, they lost the tax base. And so it's kind of like, let them die. Like, it's like kind of letting something die on the vine, just let it die. And, you can't kill us, you might try, but, we don't die. And so I appreciate Dave Chappelle, just, letting everybody know that we haven't forgot, and, he has some subtle things that he says that are, that are on purpose, but anyway, I think the brother's masterful, and I do recommend that everybody check it out. And as far as Brother Kaepernick, I didn't see that one. So, I'll check it out. I like to do a little analytical evaluation, check it out, so I can improve my understanding of what's going on, But my day at work here in this little town, working at this school, and how the white establishment on purpose, I see it in play because I'm in a position to where I can see things, but luckily I'm there to where I am a soundboard and an advisor and everything for the Blacks that are on campus. And, some whites, they come to me about some things, and it's other folks. But at the end of the day, Black people, if I, and, I'm not tooting my own horn, but if I wasn't there, I can see how it's been over the last 100 years or 200 years or whatever. This town was built in 1906. So you talk, or something like that. So I can imagine from 06 up until, I'm serious, the time I got hired on, which is about, going on 20 years ago, where I speak up, so if you sit quiet and let things happen, you're guilty. You're just as guilty. You're, what's that word? You're, what's the word, Dr. Rahh, when you sit back and watch and don't say a word, like what they call that word? Complicit.
Yeah.
You're complicit. Yes. Don't say anything. So
Silence is
anyway,
simplicity, yeah. But
yeah.
Mashinda, what town is it and what is your position?
Well, I'm gonna tell you like this. I'm about 100. I'm about 60 miles from New Orleans,
Okay,
north of New Orleans, and
okay.
my position is that I'm working in student services. And my position is, I have some, a supervisory position in student services, and
Okay.
so therefore, of course, you're aware of what goes on in those positions, and so I get all the grievances, all the, the negative things that go on. But I mean, there's a lot of positive things too. I do a lot of recruitment, try to get in those neighborhoods and talk to the young brothers to at least get a trade or do something, with yourself, that type of thing. But I remember years ago when the guy that was in charge, he said he didn't want to, well, we were actually trying to get the so it was a program that had a bunch of people that were on probation, but they were not in prison, or in jail. They were at a day school where they were supervised, and then they had a probation officer that would check on them every now and then. But I was trying to get them to come, hey, let's bus them. So they were willing to bus them to the school to get some trades and things like that, and or get an associate degree, that type of thing, community college. And he said, no, I don't want no bus pulling up. It's not a good look. And I said, well, I had to argue with the dude, but back then, which was a long time ago, oh, it was tough, and it was like a wall, where the whole establishment is like, so you got to know when to hold and when to fold. But I've been a fighter all, in the game all my life, but with these guys, but working in student services, I get to see it all. And, today I worked today, and there was a young lady, she was accosted in the bathroom where some, she's half black, half white, I guess, that's what she classified herself as. And the white girl, two white girls, three white girls actually followed her into the bathroom. And they started, one of them pushed her and the other one, and then held the door so she couldn't get out. And so, of course, I got wind of it. So I'm investigating that. But of course, this is a sister that's being picked on
Bully.
because that, so they basically don't, they don't have no respect for her because, she got a black daddy or a black mama, that kind of thing. And they harass her and they bully her. So now somebody's getting ready to get kicked out of school for putting their hands on her, that kind of thing. But you got a lot of little racist activity going on, little microcosms of racial activity going on, and putting those fires out on a regular basis. But again, while I'm there, they know that I'm going to look into it. So a lot of them kind of slow their roll. But my goal is to get these folks through school and to graduate. The young brothers that's in the diesel program and the automotive programs and all those type of things, they say, oh, the white teachers don't want to show us how to do this and don't do that. I say, you paid your money. You got to command, you got to demand that you learn and respectfully, because I tell you, and they'll do it real slight. They'll let, if you leave and don't come back, they don't care. They're not going to call you, but I'll call them. I'll check on them. I say, hey, where's such and such at? And then they'll say, well, we haven't seen him in 2 or 3 days. I said, okay. And I'll go to the office and I'll call, hey, brother, you coming back to school or what? I said, you getting behind, you're going to fail, that kind of thing. So this active participant in my job, trying to make sense out of it. But anyway, you guys talked about racism, Dave Chappelle, Kaepernick, the whole blanket of racism. Man, it's alive and well. But at the same time, we gotta be in a position to try to make change. That type of thing. But I don't think they're willing to change, though. Some people may differ, but I don't think that that's not even in the cards. It's not in their DNA to change. They're the ones that are evil and they're put on this planet to do that. They want to carry that mission out, and But anyway, that's my theory. And but as far as anything else, I mean, I try to stay abreast of the news and those types of things, and But again, I like to be a good listener, but like you say, participate, which is a good thing because the other listeners that's on there, we like to offer something valuable, and to something food for thought. And but anyway, I'm
Well,
glad I can contribute anything.
well, two quick points before I go to Rashiki.
Yes, sir.
One is the theme of the show that Rashiki brought, each one teach one. So even
Yes,
though
sir.
I'm a professor, I have deep respect for you, the doctor, Rashiki, because each of you have experiences and have ideologies and perspectives. But I want to ask you the second question. Did you hear or read about the story about the dads on duty in Shreveport, Louisiana?
You say the dad's on duty?
Yes.
No, actually, I haven't heard of that.
Let me tell you quickly about them. Then I go to
Yes, sir.
Rashiki. Dads on duties was this school had about 20 breakout fights among blacks, amongst themselves, with the other whites, and with everybody. They fighting. So these dads, about 40 of them, got together, and they went up to the school, and with love, developing relationships, they transformed the school to the point where there's no more fighting. And they didn't do it by going up there, roughing it. They did what they call that restorative justice talk but you hear about so much negative things about Black fathers, but here's some fathers that organized themselves and went into Shreveport, Louisiana high school and settled a lot of the problems that they were having amongst the youth. And hopefully this be a model for other fathers in other urban areas, because especially in New York and California and Los Angeles and everywhere where there's problems on school, and mothers can go, mothers on duty, moms on duty. We used to have that in the mid and late 70s. Parents were on the campus, so it was a good thing at that time. I don't know if anybody else would like to say something about it after Rashiki speaks. Okay, go ahead. Go ahead, Rashiki.
Yes, I'm basically in listening mode this evening. I do want to put something on our minds here, that we do something collective in the coming next year, like towards the beginning of the year. Do something collective that will contribute to our cause here. I know that Professor Rahh, you've done a lot in our community as far as tutoring programs, exercise programs. So I want us to brainstorm, in the next few months, so we can kind of expand what we're doing, and maybe something online. I guess we're still in a pandemic type situation, but I want to kind of expand this to do some type of collective action that will contribute to what we're doing. I did watch Dave Chappelle, but I need to watch it over because I fell asleep on it. I was tired. I'm gonna watch Colin Kaepernick, that Netflix series, and then I'll be able to probably contribute more to what we're talking about. So I'm gonna go ahead and let Brother Hembrick jump in if he's back. I know earlier we called Brother Hembrick and he didn't respond. So Brother Hembrick, are you there? I guess he's not there at the moment. Oh, you are? Okay.
I was listening in and out, so I didn't get I heard a little what the doctor and Brother Machinda was saying, a little bit. having a back problem here, trying to move around with this bad back. Anyway, I kind of hear what you're saying about collective stuff. And I was listening to Brother Rahh talking about our people are not international in our thinking. You know, and I was looking at this, the effects of the global warming down in Madagascar.
Rome, the Vatican, Rome.
No, Madagascar. With the climate change thing. And people down there starving, you know, and like when stuff happens to Black people around the world, I don't know of any organizations that are trying to assist people with hunger and this type of stuff. I'm talking about Black people, African people, African descent. So I'm all for doing something as a collective group in that regard, because it's needed, desperately needed. I was looking at that stuff today. People down in Madagascar are starving. All them kids down there starving, and don't look like nothing's being done. And you know, the Haitian thing's been going on for years, so I'm all for let's do some stuff. So whatever's happening in that regard, I'm with it. Maybe the doctor, we come up with some of them thousands of dollars he'd be talking about. Let's send some bags of food and water and whatnot to these folks who are starving around the world for whatever reasons, from earthquakes or just lack of rain. They haven't had any rain in Madagascar in 5 years. You know, I don't know if y'all saw it. It was on World News Tonight. That guy David Moore was over there, and it really looks desperate. And most of them kids, you know, just suffering from malnutrition and you know whatnot. And we got all these jokers around here, you know, that's overweight in America. You know, we need to do some assisting around the world when it comes to our folks. So I'm definitely down for working on something towards that. That's it.
Yeah, I saw that, brother Hembrick. I just saw that today myself, man. Yeah, it's sad, man. I saw it, man. You know, you're right. The first thing I thought about, wait a minute, man. Why is it we not sending money there? But it's what you always talk about, brother. You know, they want to put a white face on it. The Europeans want to put a white face as a white saviors. And you saw that white lady with the what's the name of the group that goes out? She had the little initials on her hat.
Yeah, I forget.
Yeah, she was out there trying to save. And I'm thinking, wait, man. The first thing I thought about, all the money the NBA and everybody got. Why is nothing new? These people out here digging holes,
Right.
trying to find water.
Right.
You know, and you're showing the little kids, you know, pointing to their stomach is hurting. You know, and I think the lady said her husband died of starvation. They live in this little box, the little house, little thing they make. But, you know, that's what America wants us to see, man. They want to, hey, yeah, you know, these countries over here in Africa, they ain't no good, man. You know, they need us. You know, always show the suffering, man, and you know, instead of helping, they want to show suffering. And like you know, one thing you understand, you know, yeah, we can send thousands, but for every 1,000 we send over there, man, it's gonna end up being 10 cents because everybody's gonna get their hands on that money, man, before it gets to touch ground. You know, you can send $1 million over there to help feed them, man, but they're gonna probably get about $100,000 out of that $1 million after everybody, all the whites get their hands in it, man. You know, get their little part. You know.
Back in the day, I used to speak about this sister named Sister Mary. She used to put on the art fairs at our home with all the Haitian art. And we didn't send money, but we would buy, you know, big bags of food like rice and beans. And she had some people that would fly it down there. You know, it doesn't have to be money. It could be food. I know this sister around the corner from me. She sends a lot of stuff to Zimbabwe. Just a lot of religious crap. well, I won't say crap, excuse me, a lot of religious material, vacation Bible school stuff and all like that. And I asked her about how come they wasn't sending food and clothes, you know, just, further the indoctrination of our people with, religious stuff. But anyway, I know what you mean about sending cash, but there's got to be another way. Like she has a container, a 20-foot container that she puts the stuff in. Then, then it's shipped over there by ship. So, but with the shipping thing, that's all screwed up too right now. But, doesn't have to be that far away. We got folks starving right here. So, but anyway, as far as doing something collectively, that is what we're supposed to be about. So anyway, anything in that regard, I think we need to move towards it and helping our people just on a survival thing. And that's what they use on a lot of the religious stuff. First thing they want to do is feed them. And then they pull out the white boy with the long blonde hair after that. So whatever it takes, man, our people need help.
Appreciate what's been said, if I understand correctly. There's a lot of factors that go into the inhumane treatment of African people on the continent. And a lot of it is because America prop up dictators, because they can corrupt a dictator. When you have a democracy, you have different systems and institutions and check and balance and accountability, oversight. But that's why, America talking about they love democracy, but they support dictatorship and building nations, governments, so they can exploit the people. The United Nations, is a institution that don't have a military, but they're supposed to do humanitarian things. And when there's a international crisis or crisis such as starvation or hunger or disease or something, they have the capacity to ask countries to give them troops and mechanisms to export the food and distribute it to make sure the people get it. If you don't, like the doctor said, it's going to get corrupted. It's going, people turn it into a weapon. People turn it into a bargaining chip, and you have that challenge. They got people eating clay in Hades, and Hades is one of the richest minerals islands on the planet, and they won't let the people grow food. They keep it unstable. And they keep these countries unstable. And a part of population control and genocide of Black people is to let them die. Let them fight each other, create war between each group. Like they did that here with the Panthers and Us organization. They did that here with the NAACP and the Southern Christian Leadership. They create fractionalism, and they're masters of it. Because sometimes they use African people or Black people to facilitate those goals and objectives. Yes, there are people starving, not just in where the place that Brother Hembrick talked about, but there are people starving in other parts of the world also from famine and from a lack of food and lack of water, lack of medication. And that's why people are trying to get to another country, walking thousands of miles because they're facing death where they are, so they might as well try in the spirit of the quest for immortality to pursue a better place. But whenever you're in this era of life, with all the technology they have from those various airplanes and jets and all kind of other technological instruments, they can use manless cars and trucks and manless helicopters, and they do them by computers and take food to these people. But they choose not to because they'd rather exploit and abuse, and greed and selfishness is a part of the dynamics of Americanism. Is like what they're doing with the vaccine. Won't even release the formula. They're supposed to start, but the patent so that they can make it in other countries. You have to look at it from a dynamic of that what caused the poverty there? Why is it poverty there? And where's the African Unity Organization? Where are the rich countries that are supposed to be, as Joe say, religious? What is the Vatican doing? It's like, if you ain't Catholic, I ain't helping. If you ain't Jewish, I ain't helping you. If you ain't Christian, I ain't helping you. It's a challenge all the way. But any other comments on Dave Chappelle or anything like that? Anybody have any other comment?
Dr. Rahh, you brought up a good point, man. That's another thing, like I said, Madagascar. What are the neighboring countries are doing? Well, they're right there, can just drive stuff over the border. What are the other countries doing? So is it always blacks in America that have to help out other countries? You brought up good points. You tell them like it is, man, and it's tough, man. It's tough, man. It feels like we have to hold that burden for the whole world, man. Try to help out, man.
When they say we're the second best living people in the world, next to the American white man, is the black petty bourgeoisie, and so, but that's not, people don't have to be good, but you have institutions that say that's what they do, that's not doing anything. You have a military that you can move to go into Afghanistan for 18 years to fight, but you don't have a military that you say, hey, we can go over to this country and make sure these people be fed. The contradictions are overwhelming. As Malcolm said, this is not a democracy, it's a hypocrisy. But what we do is we put pressure on our elected officials. We write them a letter, or we call their representatives or their deputies, and we say, well, what are you doing? Or what can we do? See, if you don't put it on their plate, it ain't gonna get on their plate. You sometimes have to make people do right. That's what our parents had to do to us, beat our butt and make us do right. Because, people have a tendency to do what they want to do. And as Haki say, they buy what they want and beg for what they need. And it's a struggle. And there are some groups, I know Dr. Sansalo go back to Uganda all the time, taking food and medicine and things of that nature. And there are other groups that are doing the best they can to certain countries and trying to help them. But the problem takes an institution with the major resources. We can get together with a small group and get blankets, food, and send over there. Well, what are we gonna reach? 200-300 people? No, you need somebody with institutional power, with deep resources that help turn those things around when you got thousands of people starving and no water. They got water trucks, and they get, well, anyway, y'all get my point. So, that's what we're struggling about. And when I said that we don't look at things internationally, it's because we're not taught to. We're not taught to see, Black people living in the projects, in comparison to those people starving. Well, it's like the people in the projects are middle class compared to what those people that Brother Hembrick brought up in Mogadishu is going through. And they complain, oh, we poor. You understand? We ain't got nothing because we can't go to McDonald's or we can't order a pizza. But you got food in the house, but you just don't want to cook it. And that Joe and that Machinda was saying, you have a community college that you can go to, learn how to drive trucks, fix trucks, do this and do that to change the situation, but you won't walk around sagging pants and you know, and it's not your fault. Oppression make people do those things. You know, I mean, and I'm not putting them down. I'm just saying that you have a person like Machinda, you, Doc, trying to reach young people that, hey, you know, to pull yourself up and do something. Brother Hembrick, you're trying to keep them from staying in the same place, you know, because they act like they're going to be in high school forever, or they're going to be able to act the way they act forever. And pretty soon, you know, where's your health benefits? Where's your Social Security? You never work. So you're on general relief. So what, you know, where you know, so you develop a culture of living like that. Off women, off of men, oh man. It's a major problem of miseducation and mistraining that we got to get back into. That's victimizing young people of the future. Everybody talking about what climate change is gonna do, but what stagnation do is even worse. So I don't know. Machinda, do you have any comment on that?
Well, I disagree. I agree with you. You know, I mean, I've been I put on a food drive last week and continued it this week. We collecting cans and stuff, you know. People say, oh, they got food stamps and EBT and all that, you know. And, you know, it's amazing that it's, man, you know, when you're, it's like I think Dr. Claude Anderson talks about, you know, we're in what they call a monopoly game, like the game, you know, and we're going directly to jail and getting played in the game. And, you know, but at the end of the day, you know, yeah, you might get an EBT card and you got 2 or 3 kids and you have, you know, resources to go get some food. But, you know, the mindsets, you know, people aren't going to buy groceries that are healthy for them. You know, across the street from the school, they have this gas station. And, you know, down here, you can go to a gas station, and get a meal, you know, in these gas stations. But anyway, they sell all kind of different food, seafood and different things. And the people, I called over there a couple days ago, and I was asking what you have on the menu that's healthy. You know, I was just talking to them. They said, well, we got this and that. And so anyway, they said, we're not selling a bunch of these products or that product, like say shrimp and whatever, because people are coming in there with those EBT cards of food stamps. And like, say me, if I get EBT, I might go in and order like 10 sandwiches, you know, po' boys, you know, shrimp sandwiches or plates, because they're using, because of we had a natural disaster called a hurricane that hit recently, you know, August 29th, the same day Katrina hit in 2005. We had another one in 2021 on the same day, Ida. And, you know, when you know, so we talk about Haiti, earthquakes, things like that. We have natural disasters right here in this country. You know, we have people right now that are still not living in their homes. You know, during Katrina, I had a tree in my house. I was displaced for, you know, maybe a couple of weeks until we got it together. You know, well, I was able to go home probably in about a couple of weeks, you know, to go live in the house. But I'm just saying, without power, you know, luckily, like I say, I had a few resources saved, and, you know, and I still had a job, and actually my job was still paying. So, but I'm saying, what about the people that don't even, you know, that, you know, when you work at Walmart or not even Walmart, any other place, when it gets destroyed or gets, affected, then they're without resources. And so basically, I get into this food drive thing, and I got a help center locally here, and they come by and pick up the food. So I've been assisting in that way, and not just me. I got others involved, and trying to get student government involved to do some civic stuff, and try to get, some of the young brothers and sisters involved in student government so they can become politically conscious, civic minded. So that might parlay into some other thinking or dealing with other issues. So just listening to across the board on some things. I'm just sharing, but that's all I got.
Yeah, but you make some good points, but it's a challenge when you're dealing with natural disasters. But we also suffer from man-made disasters. The immigration policies, the segregation policies, the economic policies that works against the people. In order to have rich, you got to have poor. You wouldn't know you was rich if you didn't have poor. They don't want certain people. There's a book, The Designated Poor. You're designated to be poor. So there's institutional economic discrimination as well. That's with hiring practices, raise practices, and discrimination. And people think that, well, once you get into power, you will they can't control you no more. And second, that you may seek revenge for the history of racism and discrimination. So that's their take. But most people just want to live on the earth. Then there's a group of people that want to rule the earth and the universe. So that's a dynamic. But Brother Joe, you want to say something else?
No, I'm just taking it all in. But it's shameful. I'm kind of like Dick Gregory. One of his last interviews, he was on there with some stars, and he just ripped into them for the fact that what they were not doing compared to what he dedicated his life to, helping our people in whatever arena it was. Like I say, we just need to unite internationally. Be great. We can't even do it in our own neighborhood. So that's a mindset thing that we need to work on. I don't know what the solution is, but I know one thing is becoming conscious in your mind about us and what we dealt with over the centuries. So that's all I'm gonna say right now. But like I said, be a collective effort on all of us part to unite and get something done.
What about this this Halloween practice? How do you feel about Black participation in Halloween?
Me, I don't participate in no European holidays, any of them, but I didn't have one knock on my door last night. And I talked to a couple other people. They had, I guess the pandemic had them scared to come out. But like I said in the past, all of these holidays that we celebrate that has nothing to do with us, just the amount of money that's spent on these things, we can change stuff overnight. If people just wake up and just come together and want to help each other. I know back in the day, I remember when I was first getting in Compton over at Southwest, Black people just helping Black people just because they were Black. Sometimes it was stuff, and sometimes it was fraudulent stuff, but it was still trying to help Black people by any means necessary. That kind of spirit needs to come back. And but the Halloween thing is just a farce, man. It's to me, it's not what I really want to say, but it's a bunch of BS. All of them, really, in my opinion. So I was talking to a Christian woman today, and running it down to her, and she was listening. She was taking it in. I don't know where it went as soon as she left me, but I thought I was making a dent. So, we didn't get this way overnight. We're not getting out of it overnight. That's one way we can, is to start doing for self and making sure that our bases are covered, at least with our own people, in all facets. So that's all I have to say.
Some good points. Anybody else have a comment?
Okay, on the website, you go to the website on Perspective Writings. This may interest some people. Holidays, should people of color participate or celebrate? So that kind of ties into what you guys are talking about. So I thought I would share that. So that's on the website, communityeducationnetwork.com.
But what is the thrust of it? What's the position?
Well, it's basically, shoot, I got to read it again. I wrote it, but I have to read it again. It's just basically saying that given the position that we're in as being in a system of white supremacy, racism, should we be participating in these holidays that don't do anything for us on a grand scale? It's not like Hembrick was saying, we're putting all this money into holidays. It really doesn't benefit us in any kind of way. It's an adopted thing that we have. We adopted it because we're in this system. So I think I mentioned Kwanzaa in there, but yeah, it's just a perspective, and some people may find it interesting. I don't want to read it. It's too long to read it, but it's not a long paper. So, it's just a perspective, one of my perspectives.
But it's a good point.
Comment in, Brother Rob?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, as far as the holidays and whatnot, there's a book called European Holidays. By Black people, we commit cultural genocide against ourselves. It's a small book. There's a couple of them, but let me just say this. This is what Black people need to realize. We're at war, and this is from Francis Cress Wells. We're in a state of war, whether we realize it or not. And the things that we do with our time, like the holiday celebration, like partying and all that, we always want to party. We always down for that. But who do you know that's at war that got time for partying and all this celebrating and whatnot? That's something that we need to think about, because all of the things that occur to us, it's actually a state of war against us. And until we view it like that, it's hard to, work on the mindset, if you will. Because a lot of us, we looking up to the sky for it to be solved. which unless you call it on the ancestors, I don't know what that's gonna do. But anyway, that's just another perspective on it.
Can I piggyback off of that, please?
Yeah, go ahead.
You know, Neely Fuller states that, you know, we basically, before you could solve any other problem, we need to solve the problem of white supremacy, racism. So he said, there's nothing else that we should be doing. And he basically was saying himself, he was saying that, you know, he's on a mission to solve the problem, the major problem, white supremacy, racism. And he said there's nothing else we should be doing. And I kind of agree with that after listening to him, you know, for maybe about 5 or 6 years straight, you know, on a weekly basis. And it's just the inhumanity, you know, is so prevalent where, you know, I have a few sayings. It's like if, and I don't know if I coined this, but if, like with capitalism, if money is the value, people are devalued. And then I say also, man is not far from the cave because of the way we do things. So the mindset has to be changed, like Hembrick was saying, and that's what I'm writing about. It's a long process here because I constantly been doing other things, but yeah, we have to come to the point where we have to do better collectively, mentally. And Neely Fuller calls it you know, we have to have a counter-racist code. We need codes, doing things that actually work, and it becomes a code. So that's just a little something that I wanted to, you know, add to what Hembrick was saying.
Brother Rascani, what was Neely Fuller? What was some of his things that he was saying about how we should be trying to eradicate white supremacy? I know him and Francis were best of friends.
Yeah, he was coined her mentor.
What was some of the things, things he was suggesting that we do in order to combat it?
Well, he has, in every area of activity, he has codes. Like one that's very prevalent that he talks about. He says when being pulled over by the police, don't fight, don't fuss, don't flee. The 3 F's. You know, just, you know, having a code, that specific code right there, it may, he said it may help with you being able to later fighting it in court versus if you fuss. And I have examples for that. Sandra Bland, she was fussing with the police and his whole demeanor changed. If you flee, you know, your chance they're gonna shoot you every time. And if you fight, you definitely at a disadvantage. You might get killed. So there's certain just everyday things that you could do to counter racism. And I mean, it's in his book and it's on his shows. It's a lot of information, but it's very prevalent to me because it makes it's being logical versus, you know, not being logical.
Good.
So there's a lot that he talks about.
Racism is not a police shooting you. Racism is him being able to get away with shooting you. There's no consequences for it because they don't value your existence. And, you know, it's institutional arrangements. Personal prejudice and prejudice, racial prejudice exists. Hatred exists. You have to keep that in check with laws and accountability for people that participate in it. And those that, like the Supreme Court, their rulings in the Dred Scott, you don't have to respect a black man. I mean, that was a Supreme Court ruling. That affected all black people. I don't care if you had a college degree or whatever. During that period, you weren't respected and people could kill you. You couldn't sue. You couldn't sue white people. There's nothing you could do to a white person who mistreats you according to the Dred Scott decision. You understand? And that decision lasted for years. And then the other thing about segregation, governors, Governor Wallace, they've instituted laws that no black kid could go to white school. See, that's racism versus a murder is murder. You can't call a white cop shooting you, well, that's racism. That's murder. Now, racism is a judge, a jury that did what they did to the Emmett Till case. You innocent, even if he was a boy, even if he was thrown in the river, and even if you admitted, in a television review later, there's no civil rights suing at that time when Emmett Till was killed. There was no investigation for civil rights violation then, because you wasn't considered a human. But anyway, let me just get back to Halloween. The holidays, European holidays, are the ritualization of their culture, of white culture, of European culture. That's what their holidays are for. Our holidays is the ritualization of our culture. And each group has their own holidays that ritualize their culture. We have an abundance of black people that participate in European culture apparatus. First of all, we're told don't lie to your kids. That's from a psychological standpoint. You shouldn't lie to children. You shouldn't tell them there's a fat Santa Claus, because there ain't no such thing as a Santa Claus. You should tell them the truth. Break the monopoly of the commercialization. It ain't fun. Oh, it's just a little lie. It ain't gonna hurt nobody. We just pretending. Well, you got, like Brother Hembrick say, and Brother Rashiki was saying, yeah, war. Ain't no time to make believe. So the second thing about Halloween, it's devil worshiping. In Detroit, they call it Devil Night. And you say, what are you doing worshiping the devil? Or pretending that you're a devil, dressing up like a devil, a monster, or something. Dressing up like a hobo, dressing up like a clown. What is that about? You in war. What did that got to do with your culture? There ain't no devils in Africa. Ain't culture. Ain't no monsters and disease, werewolves and dressing up like a hobo and stuff. You don't do that. Then thirdly, you tell your kids don't eat that much sugar, and the word candy means lump of sugar. And you take them out to get bags of it. Or you have block parties that give them bags of sugar. And then you want to know why their teeth falling out. And why they on the brink of diabetic too. Number 2 diabetic. Then you tell them, fourthly, don't take nothing from strangers. Then you take them to strange neighborhoods and strangers, give them stuff. It's a contradiction to every aspect of our defense against the system. You exploiting it. How you go into a white neighborhood and take candy from them? That don't even make sense. And then at the same time, people, we used to snatch bags. We wait for somebody, kids to go. They do all that hustling to get their candy. Then they come back in the hood and we take it. You know what I mean? You know, fires, they start fires. And call itself, you say barn fires to ward off the evil spirits. Then, you know, these are people that don't go to church. Talking about they warding off evil spirits. That don't even make sense. You go into each one of these Europe, and the word holiday means holy day. Because holidays started with religious groups taking days off. Jewish people have special holidays right now. Muslims have special holidays right now. Christians have their holidays. We have some holidays or celebrations. We stay with our culture. And think, you know, talk to your children. I mean, I got contradictions in my family. You know, I raised my kids. I never took them trick or treating. I never took them, you know, none of that Santa Claus stuff, none of that. They got kids, they still doing it. You know, they marry into a family that does it, and so they do it with the family, keep peace with their wives and stuff. And it's sad. You know, I mean, they never had it, but you know, no Christmas tree, no dead tree in the house. You know, no, let's decorate the tree on this week. You know, none of that. You know, but anyway, those are the issues that we face. First of all, I want to thank everybody for being on. It was a good discussion. And we just got to continue to struggle. Struggle is the only remedy against oppression. Mental struggle against it, spiritual struggle against it, and physical struggle against it. And love and respect each other. Honor each other. See each other in the best of what we represent as humans. We are the vanguard of humanity in this world. There's no people that has represented a moral idea of love of all people more than African people, or forgiving people for their sins or their genocide against us, that we forgive them. You understand? And want to just move on and try to make the best of our lives. So we thank all y'all for tuning in, and we're going to just, unless somebody has something burning they want to say, we're going to let Rahh tell us what's going on Wednesday. Rahh, you there?
Yes. Here we go. I'm gonna share the screen. So we got Officer Mike coming on. We got a police officer coming on. And I know Brother Doctor can make a great contribution to this show on Wednesday, since he has a background in law enforcement. So that should be an interesting show, because he has experience in 3 different, you know, police situations. So that'll be interesting.
Okay. Well, I'm looking forward to it. I got a whole bunch of issues about police.
Yeah, so that'll be good, because you'll be able to ask him some questions, because he like I said, he's been in 3 different.
I don't know how you're going to explain gangs in the police department.
Well, he has a perspective.
Street gangs in the police department. I ain't talking about police bagging up each other. I'm talking about tattoos and, you know, selling weapons and, you know, getting involved in you know.
Well, you'll be able to ask him, because we
selling
have
drugs out the evidence room, selling guns out the evidence room. You know, what's going on here?
Yeah, well, we'll be able to ask him a lot of questions. I have a few questions for him, and then we, like we always do, we'll open it up.
So what police department was he with?
I'm gonna let him disclose that information because
Okay,
I'm gonna let him do that.
all right.
Okay.
Okay,
So is that it for this evening?
yeah, each one
Right.
teach one.
Each one teach one, Conscious Corner.
All right, brother.